So we have Laura Walker of Art with a Soul today. And I'm so excited to get to finally talk to you because I followed you for a while. And I just want to talk to you about where you located, what schooling have you had, anything like that?
Well, I live in Coleman, Alabama, which is my hometown. I've lived in Tampa and in North Carolina and then
Oh,
returned
okay.
here, after being away for 13 years or so.
Yeah.
I have my bachelor's degree in biblical studies with a minor in Koine Greek.
Wow.
I know. So I am more self trained with my art. I only took
Yeah.
one art class in college. I took my mother's a professional artist and my
Okay.
dad is a professional musician. So I grew up
Wow.
where just creativity and music and art, that's just part of my being.
Sure, sure. The type of art that you make, is that impasto that you're doing
A
now?
lot of it is, yeah, which I don't typically say to people because they always misunderstand me and thinking I'm saying in pastels.
Oh.
So I just say
You're like,
thick
"No,
or
no, 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 not pastels."
yeah, but I do pastels too. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really obsessed. Like you see this one in the background. I'm very into texture,
Yeah.
but it's not all the art I do. I do several different kinds. I'm actually originally a watercolorist,
Oh,
so
okay.
that was the first way I made my living. Well, first I was teaching art classes, and then I stopped teaching art classes to do people's portraits of people, pets, vehicles, homes.
Sure,
There
all
was
the
there was
things.
a time when I would do one and a half a day trying to keep up with my Christmas
Oh my
orders, a
goodness.
half pages a day. So that was
Yeah.
craziness, you
Yeah, I
know.
can imagine. That's one of those reasons why I personally am like, I can't do portraits because I know there's so many people that will come at me. And for
Yeah,
me personally, it's kind of stressful to try to
yeah,
capture somebody and do it
it
within a
is.
certain time frame. So that's got to be
Yeah. The
pretty crazy.
houses were the most popular. They still are.
Really? Yeah,
So
nice.
houses to me are a lot easier than a portrait of a
Oh
person.
yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I've tried to do portraits myself, but it just never worked out.
Yeah. I I think I have a personality where I like to please people, which can
Yeah,
be good and bad.
yeah,
But for doing custom work, that's an advantage,
yeah,
because
yeah,
that's what custom work is all about is people
yeah,
pleasing. So it doesn't battle against my personality.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
that's so true. So you said that you taught art for some time. Like, were you teaching at a school or like where were you teaching?
my mother has an art studio here in Coleman.
Okay.
Uh, the art shop around the corner. And when I moved back here, when I turned 30, I moved back to Coleman and she and I went into business together. She already
Oh
had her
wow.
shop established. But we began an after school program where we would pick students up from the schools that were close to us. We had buses and we would pick them up and we would have them there 5 days a week. And we do like a 30-minute art class with them and then
Yeah.
basically keep them from killing each other, let them do their homework. And then we had other students who their parents would bring them for a once a week
Okay.
art class. Each day of the week, we would have pottery or art
Wow.
classes, even had children's yoga classes for a while there.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah,
That's so awesome.
it was very it was a fun period. I was the manager, so
Okay.
I arranged, the employees and I taught and I arranged hired new teachers and worked with the teachers.
Mhm.
Um, and my mother was mostly working, and she still does, mostly working with the young students. That's where her heart lies,
Oh, okay.
younger students.
That's really fun. I've always been curious about places like that where it was a shop and kind of a student art studio sort of thing. That's really cool. I had no idea about that. I kind of wanted to get into the subject of like I've done a little research before talking to you. I've been following you for some time, and I've always noticed your tag, your Instagram name,
Mhm.
Art with a Soul, right? And
Yeah.
so I've looked at your website and read some of the things that you had on there, and I just thought that is so interesting, the way that you're kind of presenting your art, as something, um, I don't know, would you call it spiritual or like a connective kind of thing? Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean when you say art with a soul?
Well, it started, so after I taught art classes, that was a period of 5 to 7 years where I was teaching art classes like 30 hours a week after school. And I had young children. And I found it to be, when it's not your passion, even if you're good at something, if it's not your passion, it can be exhausting.
Yeah.
So to me, it was exhausting to
Yeah.
teach other people's children and come home to my children and what's for
Oh.
supper. And I didn't want people to touch me. And
Yeah.
so, so then I started doing the custom work on Etsy
Yeah.
in 2012.
Oh
And
wow.
that was successful enough that I stopped teaching art classes. But like I said, I know I was undercharging for one thing. I wasn't charging enough. So I was doing a very high turnover of all these watercolor portraits, mostly houses and then the vehicles and pets and homes,
Yeah.
uh, and people. So I was getting kind of burned out on that.
Mhm.
And then I did this huge, like 30 by 40 oil cat, like
Yeah.
with the face crammed into it. It was just all cat face.
Yeah.
And I called it Warhol's Kittens.
Oh.
And it was Warhol's kitten. And it was multicolored, bright, and like I said, ginormous. And I was like, I just had to do something for myself.
Yeah.
So it was oils and super thick and done with the palette knife. Very different from what I had been spending
Mhm.
years on watercolors. And the watercolors are small and detailed. And
Sure.
I just needed to do something from my soul, something for fun, something just to please myself. And that was the beginning of Art with a Soul.
Yeah.
Like, to do the work that's in my heart to do.
Yeah.
And some of it is spiritual in nature. And then some of it, like this, is just fun. I have another one down here. This is Fernando.
Oh,
So,
that
I
is
mean,
awesome. Oh my
yeah. So
gosh.
the work, the textured work, my funny farm animals,
Yeah.
they're just silliness. They're just
Yeah.
whimsical fun. But apparently, that's what's in my heart, is a lot of whimsical fun. And then I have other work during the pandemic shutdown. I had 22 shows that were canceled because I do art
Wow.
festivals for a
Yeah.
living. And I could have done all of those shows. You know, you apply for 2 or 3 in a weekend,
Sure.
uh, because you're not going to make it into all of them. That's
Sure.
just the way it is. So I started a whole new series. I had just a smattering of work I had done through the years that didn't match this body of work, so
Yeah.
I couldn't take them to festivals.
Yeah.
So I filled that body of work out and made enough of some truly focused on spiritual concepts.
Sure.
Some of them have Bible verses in them. Some of them are, scraps of song or poetry. And so that I've got that. This one here is an example of that.
Oh, now I love that. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
that would be similar to your style,
Yeah, I
except much
love
busier.
that. Oh my goodness.
So
Very
they're very,
different.
very
Yeah.
containing my soul.
Yeah.
Travel shows and do separately from that. New shows are in the
Okay.
watercolor.
Oh, interesting. So how long have you been doing like the festivals and things like that?
I've been doing them about a decade. The teaching and doing the portraits, the custom work, and the festivals all overlapped for several
Yeah.
years. And you don't give one thing up sometimes till you know that you're going to be making enough with
Yeah.
something else. Once my Etsy shop was so busy, I started paying someone to teach my classes and just
Oh,
managed
wow. Oh
the
my gosh.
shop for a couple of years
Yeah.
until I finally left the art shop and started doing, and then the festivals kind of overlapped with that. And then I left the art shop and did completely the festivals and
Okay.
the custom work. But this
So
past year, it's been mostly festivals and very little custom work.
yeah, so that's why I was gonna say that it seems like that you do a lot of that. Like, how many do you think you've done in this past year? I mean, do you feel like it's been less than usual or
Yeah, I purposefully did less this fall, but for me, that meant I think I did like 7 in the
oh,
fall.
wow.
So I would usually be like 9 or 10 each
Yeah.
season, which I do spring and fall shows.
Yeah, yeah.
So there might be 20 to 25, depending on if it's a busy year, if it spreads out a little bit more.
Yeah. That's
So
really interesting. So, I guess one of the things that I wanted to do in these interviews was also kind of think about beginning artists and kind of from their perspective. So, like, what was it that got you to take that first step to maybe enter a festival? And then what was your experience at first compared to today?
yeah. So I was part of like a group of artists in Coleman, and we used to have talks.
Okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
we have a talk or a demonstration,
Oh, yeah.
and Donna Peters gave a demonstration or talk, and she was a professional art festival artist and had been
Okay,
for like 20 years and lives out in the county here in Coleman.
okay.
And her art sold for like thousands of dollars, her originals, which to
Yeah.
me was like, whoa,
What?
my goodness. And he gave like a checklist of how to do it, and just
Oh,
these are the basics,
nice.
and just really encouraging. So I jumped in and did the we have a Bloomin' Festival here in Coleman.
Mhm.
That's a very well established show. It's the best one. Like most of the shows in Coleman are more on the craft end of things, which is
Oh, sure.
a lower price point than what
Yeah,
I was going to at. And so for me, I need a higher price point show. So
sure.
there's one show in Coleman that's that way, and it's the Bloomin' Festival. And so I just jumped in and had just a terrible, terrible setup. I knew
Oh,
nothing,
no.
and my art was just all over the place. It wasn't all just one vibe. It was just
Yeah,
everything that I had
yeah.
done and just pulled together for that first show. But I remember selling my first painting to a stranger and just being like, wow, they bought something that came from my heart. They didn't tell me
Yeah,
what to paint. I didn't paint their dog or their house. I painted something from my heart. And somebody cared enough about it, connected enough to give me their money, which is
yeah,
a big deal. So it was just a
yeah,
wonderful feeling.
yeah,
And
for
that's what
sure.
I really do enjoy about the festivals is connecting with my collectors.
Yeah.
I've become friends with them, and
Yeah, like that's one of the things that I love that you do is you've been taking pictures
mhm,
with your collectors when they are buying something. I think that is so
yeah,
awesome. Because
capture
it's
that moment of excitement.
yeah, and everybody's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
so excited.
That is so fun. So what's some advice that you would give to someone who's starting out, maybe doing festivals like that? Like what if you could look back and speak to yourself, what would you advise? I mean, I'm sure there's like tons of things, but
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of practical things, and I guess really though, I have because I do have a teaching heart, and I've mentored some young artists through the years. More of my advice would be find what appeals to your heart. For there's lots of ways that you can make an income with art if you're so inclined.
oh,
A lot of people like
absolutely.
yeah, they like to keep it as a hobby, which is great. It still nourishes your soul. But
Yeah.
if you want to do it as a living, there's so many directions to go in. And like my experience with teaching was that I was good at it and people would pay me to do it, but I didn't actually find it to be nourishing to
Mhm.
me. It was energy draining.
Yeah.
And I have found out for the art festivals also, for some people it's draining and just
Yeah.
very taxing. I mean, it's physically and emotionally challenging
Oh,
for sure.
I'm sure.
But I think it helps if you love doing it. Like my personality is an extrovert,
Mhm.
so I like getting out there at festivals. It's
Yeah.
exciting to me. And I like interacting with my collectors. I have one of my closest friends is an introvert, and she did festivals for a year or two, and she just hated it. She
Oh,
hated the
no.
experience of it, and it's way too much work to be doing to hate
Yeah.
it. you know, so
Yeah, that is a lot. I mean, you have to load all your stuff out there and put it all up and do all the
and
things and
the weather's the worst part.
oh, yeah. I've
If
seen
you're
tents, like, just completely
Yeah,
blown
take off.
over. Like,
You
oh
are
my
out
gosh.
there in all sorts of weather with your most valuable possessions in a tent.
Yeah.
In
You're
a
like,
tent.
don't rain on it, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh man. Yeah. So I actually go and give some talks at schools. And that's what I say is find what your passion is and find, like for us, if you know your passion is art, well, there's lots of ways
Oh,
to
yeah,
do that
absolutely.
and to be able to get your art out into the world. There's
Yeah.
people who get really lucky on Instagram and get Instagram famous, and they just sell their stuff by posting it.
I know.
That's wonderful. Yay to
Okay,
them.
I have one, like, this is just a spur of the moment question for you, and I'm sure you have seen this. I don't know how you feel about it. I'm not trying to get into any political stuff here, but have you noticed female artists posing with their art, like, seductively?
Yes, I hate that. In their
Isn't that
underwear.
wild?
In their underwear.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like, why are they doing that? Like, your art
it's
isn't
our
enough.
it's our culture. Our culture says women have to be sexy.
I
It's not
guess.
enough to be talented. And
Yeah.
the young women have been raised this way, that you have to be sexy. You have to display yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I mean,
like it.
I guess you're gonna get likes and comments and things like that.
Yeah, but
And
what's
that's the
God?
goal, I don't know. But I would
I
think,
just
I have to say, I think it would be so amazing if a man did that. I think
ah,
it would be hilarious and just
yeah,
awesome. So any men artists out there who want to take that on,
tear your shirt off. Yeah. No, it's just us for sure. I
more
do.
like a joke than anything.
Yeah. I wish, and I don't think it's from a lack of women valuing themselves. It's just that's what they've been taught. They've been
Yeah.
taught to display themselves. And I hope that they'll think, I don't know. You're not gonna stay that way forever, ladies. So
Yeah.
let's invest in something that sticks around for 10 or 20 more
Yeah.
years. You know,
Yeah, that's not gonna last very long. You're gonna have to find another marketing, um, I
technique.
don't know, technique.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, so do you have any events or anything coming up soon that you'd like to share with everybody or promote?
Well, I mean, this is my season of creativity. When I'm in between shows, I get to work in a new, like, experiment more,
Yeah.
and I typically get an obsession and go with it for
Don't
a
we
couple of
all?
months. Like right now, my obsession is Justin Gaffrey and his paint. So
Oh,
you were asking ahead of time, like what artists I really admire. I'm so into texture right now, and I've discovered this beautiful, glossy, thick acrylic paint. And so, like with this art, see
yeah.
how, like, the
Wow.
flower I'm right now I'm learning how to paint with piping tips, you know.
Oh yeah, I think I
I
saw
was
that.
never, yeah, I was never into like frosting.
Yeah.
I just was more interested in art, but now I'm learning, like I'm watching all these cupcake decorating feeds, and I'm learning, and that's Justin Gaffrey and his art. Um, if you look online for him, some of his stuff will come out 5 to 7 inches, which is not practical for what I
Wow.
do. I've got to move my art around. So
Yeah.
even being out here, like I have a few pieces that have gotten out to 2 inches, and they're really difficult for me to pack right and not get
Yeah.
damaged. But it's pretty
Oh my
exciting.
gosh. I can't imagine like how that's
Yeah.
even possible. I've got to look
And
that up.
oh, he's a mad art scientist. And I'm I'm
That's
just
amazing.
I'm so glad he's made paint that will let
Nice.
us, we're into texture. It's letting us do some of the things that we could only imagine before.
Yeah.
So it's really wonderful. But my I've only gotten a few shows lined up for the spring. I will be get back in
Mhm.
Fairhope for
Oh
the
yeah,
arts
the
and crafts
Fairhope
show
show.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went there for my first time this past spring, and it was
Okay.
really bad weather.
Oh,
So I'm
yeah.
hoping that this will be the perfect weather year.
Yeah. I
And
always try to go to that one. So that's really
oh yeah,
fun. That would be
it's such
fun.
a gorgeous setting.
So you're going to try to make that one in the spring.
Well, I'm in it.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're in. Okay.
I've already been accepted into it.
Awesome. Oh, that's so
I
fun.
do the Jerry Brown Arts Festival in Hamilton. That's one of my early ones, also.
Okay.
So
Well,
just wait to hear
awesome.
back from other shows that I've applied
Yeah.
to.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And
Thank you.
I'm going to share what is your website
It is
address?
www.colemanlaurasart.com.
Coleman
My
Laura's Art.
yeah, my
Yeah.
hashtag is art with a soul, but that was already taken for the website.
Oh, doesn't that always happen? You're like, oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And it was great talking to you. I learned so much. I hope lots of other people are going to learn lots of things. So I really appreciate it.